Hi, Jason. How are you?
Very good. I love that you're on a landline. I still have mine too, and I love it.
I won't give it up for anything in the world. When the satellites,
same way.
Hey, when the satellites fall from the sky, you and I will still be able to communicate.
I'll call you.
That's it. We'll call each other. I have to tell you, I enjoyed Shotgun Wedding so much.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
It is a delightful, entertaining romp. George Clooney and Julia Roberts really started this resurgence, bringing us back to these rom-coms that are fun and light and entertaining. And you now just take it and you run with this ball. This is so fun. You've got Jennifer, who is she steals every scene. It's just a joy on every single level. You laugh.
That's so kind. I love hearing that. You're picking up on the thing that I hoped the movie would do, which is kind of advance the rom-com idea by adding a lot of action and making it feel unique, sort of switching the gender roles. And I think everyone was really game for that, and hopefully it allows for a lot more surprises for you as an audience. So I'm thrilled and honored to hear you say that you had a romp, because that was the word I used to use a lot.
It's a total romp. And I see elements here, ideas, that were in Snatch with Goldie Hawn and Amy Schumer. And of course, George and Julia, Ticket to Paradise. Even a little bit of Lost City with Sandra Bullock. So all these great elements, you've brought all of these gems under one roof here, so to speak. And it works on every level, Jason.
That's so great to hear you say. We thought a lot about it, because it is kind of it's a true mashup of action, comedy, and romance or relationship. And so trying to find that balance was hard, and to find the right people who could perform that balance as well. I'm happy to hear you say this, because it was the thing that intrigued me about the movie to begin with, and I think people enjoy the surprises of the fact that there are all these kind of different surprising elements. Certainly, and you mentioned other movies, I must say Romancing the Stone was one of my favorite movies forever, and it was one that I thought a lot about while we were making this.
And that's obvious, and for that, we have to thank your location scouts and Todd Lieberman and David for shooting it, finding the location in the Dominican.
Yeah, we had, it's funny, Romancing the Stone, I went back and watched it, I was like, oh, right, this location is gorgeous, and it informs a lot of the treachery for the characters, and you could do a beautiful wedding location, but we needed to have kind of treacherous ones too, and the Dominican Republic fit that beautifully. We did a pre-scout. I had never been to the Dominican, and I was amazed how beautiful it is, the beaches, but that there's a mountain component, a jungle component, a beach component, a city component. It has kind of everything. They also have even a water tank there that you can shoot in. So it was a perfect place. It was also, we shot during the first winter of COVID, so it allowed people to actually fly kind of safely on shorter distances to return home. If we had shot in the actual Philippines,
oh no,
we would have gotten the same. It would have been beautiful, of course, but I don't think we would have gotten the same level of actor to come all that way during that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's spectacular because the location, the topography of this location is so key into making this story work. I've got to ask you about your work with Peter Deming, your cinematographer, who I have long loved his work going back even before Cabin in the Woods. So to see him do something this light and quote unquote frothy from a visual standpoint is exciting. So I'm curious about working with Peter and the challenges that the two of you had to face with light and lens with a lot of these action sequences, and then countering that with the stunning ocean view vistas and the sunsets.
That's a great question because Peter is integral to all of the things that you're mentioning about the way they look. I'd always admired his work and also kind of the breadth of the kind of work that he had done, but it always has, even the Scream movies, it has a real level of sophistication to it. And, sometimes action comedies can look a little flat and not very expansive. And I always had in my head, this should kind of look like a James Bond movie. But what's funny about it is that there's nobody at the center of it who knows how to fire a gun. So it looks like a big movie, but the tone of it is very different. And, Peter kind of came on and said, I've not done a lot of comedies. And I said, don't think of it like that. I'll put the comedy inside the vista or inside the action. And the truth of it is, actually, Peter is very funny. He's just super dry. And I think he enjoyed shooting the mix of action and comedy. And I'm glad you felt that way. I think he did a beautiful job of capturing the beauty and also the beauty and also sometimes the darkness of the story.
Well, and logistically, your action sequences logistically were very challenging. The ones that are out in the quote unquote tropical forest area, and then in the tunnels underneath the resort, as well as in the kitchen. That kitchen action sequence, Jason, I've got to tell you, it is one of the finest action sequences I've seen executed in a while. It's superb.
Wow. What a compliment. I mean, that really goes to our stunt coordinator, Lee Morrison, who is so thorough and he has a great team, and all of that's done, rehearsed ahead of time. But also Jennifer and Josh in that scene in particular, as I said, they're very game to do all their own stunts. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So that's Josh doing every bit of that. And I think it has an immediacy to it, and I'm really happy and proud of that particular one too, because I think it's another moment where the movie goes, "Oh wow, this is really scary. This is scary for these characters."
Yeah, but the whole execution, and you've got so much breakaway glass, and it all worked perfectly. So I was so impressed.
That didn't make it into the movie, as you well know.
It was just fabulous. But something that you also do here is you showcase all of your supporting talent. Sônia Braga is delicious here, and I'm so thrilled to see her pop up here. Jennifer, of course, scene stealer. Cheech, he plays a really great dour kind of dad, kind of flummoxed at times. And then Lenny Kravitz, he's another one. I did not expect to see this level of skeevy slickness, but I love it. It's fabulous.
Yeah. He was in on the joke of that part. And he's everyone kind of is in love with him, which is also kind of true about Lenny Kravitz. We're all in love with him. But he knew how to turn on the charm in a way that felt a little uneasy.
Yeah.
And he had a blast doing it. And he knew where the joke was, and that was so fun for him and for us to watch, because we were giggling a lot about the stuff he did.
Well, you have all these talented people, and you let each person, all the supporters, they get their own moments in the sun. They are very integral to the story and in furthering it along to get to our ultimate conclusion. And we see character shifts in everybody. People, they grow balls, they step up to the plate.
Small arcs that you feel like people have progressed somehow, given this kind of like fire kiln that they're in for this day.
Absolutely. And this begs the question then, sitting there with your editor, with Doc Kreutzer, how challenging was the edit here? Because you have so many comedic beats, and you're not shortchanging anybody or the story. This had to be Herculean to cut this film.
I did a lot more layering of this movie than I've ever done. Like, we got the action in the place that we wanted. wanted, and then we would have to go back and do a pass of the action and make sure that we had all the funniest takes of the actors inside the action so that balance was right. And even when we had like all the jokes right, we went and did a reaction pass because a lot of the comedy is actually in the way the characters react. And as you pointed out, you kind of watch them change a little bit by the way they react. So we went back and watched every take of everyone just to look for those little golden, quiet, small moments that weren't verbal. And we must have added like 40 of those into the movie. And I think they do let you check in with all the characters without having to take so much time, and also they tend to give you some information. So there was a lot more kind of spread another layer to make sure that it was fun to watch, and also that everyone had their moments in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, that really impressed me, Jason, that you went to these lengths so that we did see and feel that. Because everybody's been to at least one wedding. Maybe not a destination wedding, but half the fun of going to a wedding is watching the people. Not the bride and groom, but everybody else who's there.
Yeah.
So you really brought us in and made us one of the people who we might have been hiding behind a tree.
We're on the ride with the characters, that they were kind of on having the experience as if they were part of the wedding or they were on a zip line. And I always say about a wedding is like, sometimes you go to a wedding and you look around and you think, these people would never all be in a room together, ever, except for this wedding. And so when we were casting, I tried to think, like, how do you make this group look like, how does this movie work? Like, how do all these people end up in the same movie? So I wanted it to have that sense of, like, you're watching all these individuals, which it sounds like you had.
How much of a challenge was it for your costume designer and your costume department, for Mitchell Travers and his team, with the amount of time everybody is in water? You've got, because that wreaks havoc for you as a director on your takes and also on timing of drying out costumes.
That's a great question. The thing I was most worried about going into the shoot were the pool days. I knew that I had an incredible action and second unit team to help me with that. I knew that there were long days in the heat, but I've done that before. But having 40 actors, 7 of whom are speaking roles in a pool, I was like, what happens if there's some sort of bacterial thing in the pool? What happens if someone can't swim? All kinds of things. And you know what ended up happening? The pool was everybody's favorite place to be. They would just swim. When we would give them a break, they wouldn't get out. They would just sort of swim around. Also, it was very hot in the Dominican reheat, so it felt cool for them to be in the pool. And they laughed and they talked and they splashed water on each other. And it was like, it became instantly the thing I was least worried about. Mitchell, to your point, was extremely worried about it, which is, how do I have enough multiples if they go from dry to wet, which, as you know. But also, how do we make sure that after 10 days of shooting, that the costumes don't come apart or chafe their skin? Because none of us had kind of really done that many people in a pool before. I always felt like it was going to break down if just one person was uncomfortable or had a rash. Like, the whole shoot would kind of break down.
Well,
so it did not happen, thank goodness. But there was a lot of discussion and planning put into it, and Mitchell did an amazing job of choosing fabrics that avoided all those other pitfalls.
I have to ask about the degradation of Jennifer's wedding gown. And this is kudos to you in keeping the continuity of the breakdown of that gown for this whole film. Was that ever present in your mind as you were shooting? Because obviously you weren't going chronologically.
Yes. There was a minute I thought, can we shoot this chronologically? Because this seems really, really hard. And it was another thing I was worried about. But as you can imagine, Jennifer's team, makeup, hair, and styling, their attention to detail is incredible. They photograph everything. We never really had big continuity issues. Also, that's also because we had 28 dresses, and they were all mapped out from the beginning. We knew from a story thematic perspective, we wanted her to start out in something that felt a little bit not like the character, like a princess dress and a slightly Midwestern hairdo. She still looked amazing, of course. But that as those the trappings of the wedding is kind of what's getting to this character, these tensions, the cake falls in the mud, that they get closer, they're more vulnerable, they're more who they actually are, and they can connect better at the end. So we wanted it to be both beautiful and funny and functional, but also sort of show this progression. And then also she looks like a badass at the end with, all the action she has to do. So it's finding a balance of that too. I think we probably thought a lot more about the final look than the beginning look, because we also knew things had to come apart and harnesses had to be put inside a lot of different dresses. So it was very meticulously plotted out, and we knew what was going to happen exactly on every day.
Absolutely. The metaphor is fabulous, Jason. Absolutely fabulous. And I got to tell you, I don't know who's a badder ass bitch, Darcy or Jennifer Coolidge's Carol, because both of them, the way Jennifer can lock and load is it's
I think it's a good thing they're on both on the same side. That could be a pretty nasty gunfight, but they basically laughed alongside each other the whole time, so that was much preferred.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a lot of badasses, and the two Jennifers together are incredible.
Oh,
one of my favorite parts.
Jason, I can't thank you enough. I want to see more. I want to see more like this from you. I want more.
I'm working on it.
Oh, Jason, thank you so much. And you have a great, nice meeting you, and hopefully we'll do this again in the future.